All right, welcome back to another SegWeather video looking at your forecast for your Saturday, July 18th of 2026. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to go ahead and dive into that real quickly. Starting off of your current watches and warnings, looking at a lot going along across the country, looking at an air quality alert for much of the Midwest to Northeast, and then a small area here in the Pacific Northwest, watching out for those smoky wildfires impacting these areas throughout the course of your day today, and then looking at a heat advisory in place for the southern Dakotas into Nebraska, and then looking at parts of the Mississippi Valley dealing with those heat advisories as well, and along of the southeast, seeing that occur as well, and then a couple flood watches for the interior northeast and for Utah for excessive rainfall, and even a small area here in northwestern Wyoming, seen that being possible, and then a red flag warning for parts of Washington, Oregon for some strong winds, which could contribute to potentially developing fires if this does continue to be the case for today. But as we head towards your excessive rainfall outlook, now looking at a weather setup for the southwest, looking at a slight risk for some excessive rainfall being possible, and especially across the northeast as well, as we're watching a strong storm threat for you guys. More on this in just a little bit, but looking at that being possible for those areas at this time. Now, looking back to our upper level jet, especially with those wildfires ongoing across Canada, especially in this area over here. Unfortunately, with the way this upper level jet is positioned with strong winds aloft, higher up in the atmosphere, this will unfortunately contribute to again those wildfire wildfires spreading that smoke down here into parts of the Midwest, and maybe even further down to the south as we head to Sunday, as we watching this part of the jet coming down to the south as the heat ridge that's been in place for much of the country continues to break down. And with that, we will see again this risk for wildfires extend into the Midwest and Northeast as we head towards the second part of the weekend. So watching this very closely for you, and then seeing a small area in the Pacific Northwest due to again that smoke impacting these areas at this time. So not a good start to your weekend for those who are traveling this weekend. But looking at a closer look towards this evening with that wildfire smoke potential, you see a higher threat over Oregon and extending to northern parts of Idaho and even the parts of western Montana. And then looking at the west, northeast, still not looking good, especially for Michigan. You guys will be dealing with those wildfires. And then northeastern Wisconsin, very not good as well this time. And then the east coast also looking quite significant, but it may be interrupted by those storms that will be moving through during the day today, as they may help to alleviate some of that smoke. But unfortunately, this time, again, expecting that to be the case for much of these areas throughout the day today. Now, looking at your temperatures, looking at a hot and steamy day for much of the country. Temperatures largely in the 90s from Montana, stretching down throughout most of the plains into deep south, and then even in the parts of the southwestern parts of the Midwest. So, looking at a hot, steamy day, temperatures largely in the 90s. Heat index values exceeding 100 over much of the heat advisory areas as well, especially the East Coast and here in parts of the Mississippi Valley as those temperatures continue to warm up for these areas. But the Northeast looking quite cool as those storms move ongoing with temperatures in the 60s to 70s overall, and then 70s, maybe some 60s here in the Rockies with the showers and a couple storms. And then the Pacific Northwest looking quite cool, temperatures in the 50s to 60s. So if you're looking for cool temperatures, these are the only areas to find it in. But elsewhere, it's going to be hot and steamy for your day today. But looking back to our main story, that being the severe threat, we're watching the potential for some strong storms, especially across the Midwest and stretching into the Northeast, looking at a higher heightened threat for some strong storms, especially as we head throughout the course of your day today. Enhanced risk level 3 for some strong storms, meaning numerous severe storms expected in these areas at this time, with a slight risk out here towards Montana, lower chance for some strong storms as well. But looking at the three risk categories, starting off with tornado, looking at a slightly heightened threat, especially for New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware as well, and into parts of Maryland, looking at a 5% risk for some tornadoes, at 2% a little further out. But look at that risk over New York and parts of New Jersey and into parts of Pennsylvania. This indicates heightened potential for some strong storms as we head throughout the course of every day today, which could produce some EF2 tornadoes. So watching that very closely, and then damaging wind risk in place for much of the region as well, which will be our higher threat. This is the reason for that enhanced risk, as the damaging wind threat will be quite significant, looking at up to about a 45% risk of this occurring. So watching out for some widespread wind gusts up to about 70 miles per hour in these areas, and seeing that also be possible across Montana. But again, this is the area to watch, especially with that occurring at this time. But looking at the hail threat, pretty much non-existent, if not pretty low at this time for much of those same areas. Now as we head towards our weather models for today, going to early Sunday morning, you can tell we have the storms ongoing for much of the Midwest, Northeast. You can tell they come in clusters, the storms, in fact, and then seeing a couple showers and storms in the Rockies, a little bit of activity here in the Southeast, especially with some spinning going on here in Florida. More on this a bit later about why that's important at this time. But looking closer look towards our storms here in the Northeast, you can tell that they will eventually congeal into several lines of storms as they move throughout the course of the region throughout the course of today. So looking at it again, widespread wind gusts up to 60 to 70 miles per hour, and again a couple strong tornadoes being possible as well, with some very small chances of hail as well. But again, what's the hail, the damaging wind threat in the tornado threat wants to watch out for these storms later on today. But looking at the Midwest, mainly a damaging wind threat, as you do expect the showers and storms to develop during the course of the day and then eventually congeal into probably a complex of storms as they do move through parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio throughout much of your evening as well. But here's the wide view, excuse me. You can see Midwest to Northeast to the Mid Tennessee Valley, even the Southeast, those showers and storms ongoing throughout much of today and into tonight as the storms do move down to the south along that cold front, which will also be moving through as well. But besides that, though, looking back to that tropical storm threat around Florida, as it did point to that small area spinning, that indicates where we're watching potential for some tropical development. As right now, looking at the National Hurricane Center, they have been looking at the potential for a developing tropical storm for the last couple days, and at this time, it's still a low chance, looking at a 30% chance of that occurring. But looking at our current model between about today and Monday morning, until that we will have that spinning ongoing for these areas. Not quite yet a tropical depression or storm, but according to several models, they have been showing that potential for the spinning to begin to occur as this is slowly make its way towards Alabama, Mississippi, and eventually maybe Louisiana. But at this time, looking at what to expect with this system going forward, we do have a model that we do have several models. They're indicating the potential for the system to eventually become a tropical depression and maybe even a tropical storm as we head down in the future. It looks like probably by very late Sunday into Monday, most likely, as some of these models are showing this occurring briefly for maybe about a couple days, minus this one or two models that are showing it staying in tropical storm for longer. But at this time, there's a main consensus that the storm could develop into a brief tropical storm before most likely hitting land, and then eventually pretty much dissipating over the next couple of days. But this is something to watch as we will keep a close eye on the system, as it may bring some trouble to the Gulf Coast, but not looking at it becoming a hurricane at this time, as you can tell that it's not quite yet reaching that Category 1 threshold. But this is a system to watch as we go forward. But that's pretty much it for this update. Thank you for tuning in to this update. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to always get updated on the latest on this channel. Now, have a great day and stay weather aware, and we'll be back with another video tomorrow morning.